So today we're taking a walk around Cragg Vale. For those of you that don't know, Cragg Vale was the location for the infamous Cragg Vale Coiners at the end of the 18th century. A group of counterfeiters that clipped coins and used illegal dies to make new ones. It's quite a sort of a story of local legend. It's been turned into a book called The Gallows Pole by local author Ben Myers. And as part of the interest that the book and the success of the book has created, there's now an illustrated map called the Cragg Vale Coiners Walk. It takes us around some local footpaths, hopefully to some of the sites that were involved in the story. So we've left the main road at Cragg Vale and we're heading now up towards Bell Hole Woods. At a T-junction in the track, head straight on into the woods of Bell Hole. So we've headed off the concreted path. We're heading now into the woods, up towards Bell Hole. So it's a decent path, and there's even been some boardwalks put in place here. So we're climbing up towards Bell Hole, some steps in place to hopefully make it a little bit easier. So that was a short, sharp climb up the valley. We now got Bell Hole on our left and Broadhead Plantation on our right. We're going to follow the footpath along the top of the valley now. Bog, out of the nature reserve, and I think this should be the last little stretch to get us on to the top of the moor. So, quite a view. Cragg Vale, Calder Valley. So we've climbed up through the woods. We're now on Erringden Moor. Spectacular views across the Calder Valley and Cragg Vale. You can see that the climb that we've done. We're now heading towards Bell House, which was the centre of operations for the coiners. Its isolated location and commanding views, making it a good base, being able to spot if anybody was coming to have a see what was going on. Erringden Moor notorious for being boggy. Thankfully some conveniently placed boardwalks in place. Could have been worse, but we've had a couple of weeks of very dry weather. So who were the coiners? Well, in a nutshell, they were counterfeiters in the 1760s, just before the Industrial Revolution changed commerce and industry in the Calder Valley. Back in those days, individual weavers would make pieces of cloth, take it to market, but it wouldn't be long before the valley was full of mills, full of mass-scale production. But around the 1760s, a group of local men began clipping silver coins, and then using illegally made dies created fresh silver coins, all very, very illegal and punishable by death. The ringleader of the operation was a chap called David Hartley, who lived in Bell House, which is where we're heading now, and he was helped with his brother and his father. They became so notorious that he got the nickname King David, with his brother, I think, nicknamed the Duke of York. A fearsome reputation, but also benefiting from complicity within the community, because somebody needed to supply the large amounts of coins that were needed to make fresh ones. And I believe he bought or paid for the loan of the coins that he was then clipping before returning them to their original owners. One of the reasons they could get away with it for so long was the lack of law enforcement in the community. Just 2 constables, I believe, based in Halifax, 5 or 6 miles down the road, and the nearest magistrate over in Bradford. But it was an era of lots of informants, people looking to make money by giving information to the authorities, and it soon became known that this operation was going on. It was going on a very large scale, and so a gentleman, an exciseman called William Deighton, made it his mission to bring the coiners to justice. So William Deighton turned out to be a very determined and brave exciseman. He was determined to catch the coiners, and eventually, through informers and hard work, he managed to arrest King David Hartley in the Old Cock Inn in Halifax in 1769. The pub's still there, and David Hartley was shipped over to York Castle, where he was jailed. So David Hartley's arrest did not please the gang at all, and his brothers arranged for William Deighton to be murdered. This actually happened. It was carried out in Bull Close Lane, just outside the modern Halifax town centre, where in a very clumsy operation, William Deighton was shot and then stamped to death. So we've just stopped for lunch on Erringden Moor with a fabulous view over Mytholmroyd and the Calder Valley, and we're going to continue the journey shortly. I think it is Bell House is just 100 metres or so in front of us, and then we'll continue the walk back round into Mytholmroyd. So behind us is Bell House Farm, which I think now has some private self-catering accommodation at the side. As you can see, it's got a commanding view over the valley. This is where the Hartleys based their illegal coining operation. So we think this is the Lumstone. Getting a different view across Cragg Vale. In the distance there is what we locally call the turkey farm, home to a couple of excellent breweries, Vocation Brewery and the Little Valley Brewery. A great view of Upper Cragg Vale from up here. The road up Cragg Vale is the longest continually climbing road in England, used in the 2014 Tour de France when it was staged in Yorkshire. Just in the valley bottom now, Cragg Vale, the brook on the right, sun's coming out, it's absolutely glorious. Tempting as it was to stop for a pint at the Robin Hood, we're across the road and we're heading back up the other side of the valley, up into Sutcliffe Woods. Another steep climb, this time on the other side of the valley, up through Sutcliffe Woods. So another steep climb. We've reached the top of the other valley side, up through Sutcliffe Wood, and we're looking back over Bell House and the paths that we've taken earlier on this afternoon. You can just make out Bell House straight ahead there, and the red roofs in the distance there, the village of Heptonstall, David Hartley, King David of the Coiners, that's where he's buried, in Heptonstall churchyard. So Mytholmroyd there in the valley bottom, birthplace of Poet Laureate Ted Hughes. Suffered terribly in the Boxing Day floods of 2015.
God, yeah. God, they would have had to bloody just step through them, wouldn't they?
So we had to make a diversion because these folk were blocking the way.
These big boys.
So a little diversion to the beacon above the Calder Valley, which I never knew existed. Downhill now, all the way into Mytholmroyd, where I think we can treat ourselves to a well-earned pint. Not 100% sure, but we think this might be part of the Mytholmroyd flood defences after the 2015 Boxing Day floods, which caused a lot of devastation in the valley. What's quite impressive is it trying to divert water away from Old Blank Plain, which became a river during the storms that December. Right, so we've done a steep drop down into Mytholmroyd. Just behind us is Scout Rock. Also worth a read is Under the Rock by Ben Myers, who's wrote the Gallows Pole book to do with the Coiners story. Well worth a read about life in the valley. And we're going to walk into Mytholmroyd now and maybe go for a pint. So a lot of people said that the coiners used to meet in the Dusty Miller pub, just on the main road in Mytholmroyd, on the old Halifax to Burnley road. Though reference is made to a bar called Barbary's, which is no longer here, but we are going to go to a Barbary's, which has taken the name, but